There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out. I'm coming out. I want the world to know.
Welcome to the show, Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making the next chapter of your life the very best chapter ever. If you're driving your car, listen in. Listen in. We've got Cindy Miller back here today, and we're going to get back into the It Box, which we talked about last week. I am your host, Lorraine Hoving, and I am thrilled that you are here today. Cindy, welcome back. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here, Lorraine.
Okay, so I loved last week's story because I don't golf. Well, I have golf, but it's not a pretty sight. But Cindy has been a former LPGA tour player, and she also was on a show. What was that show called? The Big Break. I think I'm gonna dig it up. Is it? Can you still find it on? What
on
would you find it on?
Yeah, the Golf Channel.
Okay, I'm going to look for it. Anyways, let me tell you a little bit about Cindy. She is a professional golfer and a certified behavior professional who inspires and challenges people to unlock their potential. Throughout Cindy's career, she has been told, "You aren't good enough." And I know we've all been there. That is what has motivated her to reach the highest levels of both playing and teaching in the world. She is a renowned global speaker and consultant. Cindy is here again today to talk about her It Box. The box symbolizes your potential. Cindy will share her 3 steps process that will teach you to own your own it. Welcome to the show, Cindy.
Thank you, Lorraine.
And last week we talked about the nail in the It Box. Can you just go over a little summary of what the nail is, and then let's proceed to unwrap what's in the It Box.
So the box itself is it, your it. So when I do presentations, everyone has a box sitting in front of them at their table, and I tell them I'm not going to hand it to you. You have to pick it up yourself. So each person in their own life has to choose to pursue their personal it. So I believe that we are all here for a reason. We have gifts and talents, and we need to have the courage to open it up and pursue our personal potential. So the first thing in the box is a nail, and the nail signifies pain for me, but it's also an instigator to change. So if you were sitting on a nail and it was hurting, would you get up, or would you stay there and whine about it and moan and complain? So how bad does it really have to hurt for you to be willing to change? Wow. So that's what the nail means to me. Now, we're motivated by either seeking reward or avoiding pain. Some people want to get a promotion at work. Some people want to make more money. Some people want a new car. Some people strive for having their own podcast. So we're striving for something.
Right. And I think I want to give an example too to the audience of this. For me, when I turned 60, that's when I realized there was a lot of pain in the fact that all of a sudden 60 years were over, and I still had like the 100, now I've lost 130 pounds, but I hadn't done anything about it. So for me, it was the pain. The nail was beginning to hurt me so bad, realizing that I only had, who knows how long I had to live, but the pain was so bad that's when I did something about it. And that's what she's talking about. For some of us, the pain has to be so bad before we are motivated to do something. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That's absolutely the truth. And I think the other thing could be because, we turn 60 and we're like, wow, I see death, coming.
Right.
And you reflect on your life and you say, have I done everything I can do? Have I done everything I wanted to do? And is there something more I'm supposed to do? And like I mentioned in the last show, I don't want to die and have God look at me and say, you stupid chicken, why didn't you do what I wanted you to do? I gave you a dream in your heart and you wimped out on me. So that's my avoiding pain. You probably wanted to feel better, but let me ask you a question. And I know it's your show, but I got to ask you a question. What made you stick with the plan to lose the 160 pounds?
Okay, so it's about 130, and the reason I did it this time is I did some inner work where I had to go back in my past and I forgave people. I had to realize that I was worth it, and by learning all of those things, then I could pursue it and keep it off, if you know what I mean. Because other times I had lost some weight, but it all came back on. And so it was not only the pain, but also the motivation, because I suddenly realized that I was valuable. So when people were telling you were not good enough, I finally realized I am good enough. I deserve my health just like anybody else does.
Isn't that sad that it takes us so long to learn that?
Oh my gosh. It is sad, but I've decided that I can't live with regrets. It is sad, and I've had to forgive myself for all those years that I wasted. But believe you me, Cindy, I'm not going to waste another day, and I don't think you are either, because it's never too late. And for our audience out there, if you've made a mess for the last 20, 40, 50, 60, 90 years, it's still not too late to make a difference now and to change your course of action.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yep. I totally agree.
Yeah. And it's exciting. It is so exciting. Life just begins to open up when you have the freedom and realize that you're just as worthy as the next person. So your dream was becoming proficient at golfing. And I loved how you shared your story last week. Somebody else's dream is something different. But the thing is to walk through the fear or walk through those nagging feelings that I can't do it or I'm not good enough, and realize that you are worthy just like anybody else is. So in the box, what would be another item that you would have in the box? And I love the picture that you the word picture you had of the box sitting in front. So I've got the box, and the audience out there has the box. What else would we uncover in there?
So the second thing in the box is a mirror. So once you know what you want and why you want it, okay, like you said, I'm sick and tired of being overweight and not feeling well and and this hurts so bad I have to do something about it. You need to look in the mirror and say, okay, let's do a little inventory here. Who am I? What motivates me to action? What do I need to learn to be able to accomplish my dream, my mission, my declaration, my goals, whatever they might be? What's my behavior style? So in our process, when we do the team building, each attendee would take a motivation assessment and a DISC profile to find out their behavior style. There's also a natural and adapted style that's shown on the report. And again, I happen to be a high D personality. There's 4 different letters, a D, an I, an S, and a C. A D is driven, competitive, control freak. The I is, yeah, and that would be me. The I is an influencing, fun-loving person who's great for customer service. Typically, they're slobs and they forget things and they dress in really loud colors and they love people. The S would be very steady and slow and very systematized. And the C is conscientious, analytical, and quiet. So once you know what you are, that you can sometimes tend to adapt your behavior in certain situations. So many of the people that we do corporate training with say, I'm like this at home and I'm like this at work. Well, that's okay if you know why you're adapting. But if you really have to adapt like all day long, every day, it's not healthy. It's not for you. So an example, In the motivation assessment, there's 7 different motivators that motivate us to action. Number 1, we want to make money. Number 2, we want to help people. Number 3, we want to make the environment beautiful. Number 4, we love rules and follow rules. Number 5 is we want to learn new things. Number 6 is I want power. And number 7 is I need to be unique. So once you know what motivates you, so I'll use myself as an example. I am motivated by money, power, and being unique. And I'm a very high DI personality. So if I'm going to say this, and maybe I shouldn't say it on a radio show, but if I wasn't a Christian, I could be a bossy witch. So I have to be careful, okay? And I have to adapt my behavior because I can be way too loud and bossy. So that being said, if you say, well, what do you do for a living? Well, when my husband decided he didn't want to play on the PGA Tour anymore, and he said he wanted to teach golf, I said, what? I don't want to teach golf. I don't like golf. I'm mad at golf, right? I didn't do as good as I thought I was supposed to be at golf. And he's like, no. I know how to teach the swing. This is going to be easy. You know, it's like he's Mr. Research guy because, of course, I married my opposite person, which is what we always do.
Right.
Fall in love with
the analytical. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the high S, and he does all the research, and he's the second purest ball striker Dave Pelz has ever tested on the PGA Tour. So Alan's Mr. Slow and you know, consistent is what he is. So long story short, he said, well, should we get a job at a country club? And I'm like, ugh, you know, so what we did was we moved from Pensacola, Florida to Buffalo, New York, to teach golf at a public driving range to normal people. And we start every year at 0. So if we don't give a golf lesson, we don't make a dime.
Right.
Now, did I want to do that? Did I choose to do that? No, but we were at a point in our lives where we had 2 kids and we needed to make a living. And it's like, holy cow, what are we going to do? And we didn't have a job and, you know, we didn't have any money left. So we had to go do that. And then we applied for a couple jobs that we didn't get. And I'm so grateful because my personality with my motivation style almost makes me unemployable. So I'm an entrepreneur who wants to work for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would work harder for me than anybody else. Well, now that I know that, it's like, oh, so when I have a pity party and say, oh, why didn't you just work for the state and you could have this big retirement and pension? And it's like, no, that would have been jail. So it helps you make decisions when you mirror.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. And it's the understanding of who you are. And when we're aware of who we are, we can then begin to set goals. But otherwise, sometimes we don't even know who we are. We're kind of in a fog. So, okay, so the nail and the mirror. And what's the last item in that it box?
The last thing in the box is a seed. Seed. Once you know who you are, what you want, you got to figure out how you're going to get it. So I tell the story when I had filed for divorce and I wasn't sure if I should go through with it. And I was going to all these counselors and most of them were wacky and wackier than I ever thought of being. And I went to this one guy, and I was a Christian. So I went to this Christian counselor guy, and I was sitting in the guy's office, and I'm crying, and I don't have any Kleenex, and the tears are dripping down my face, and the boogers are going in my mouth, and I don't have any Kleenex. And the guy gets up, and he says, well, hang on a minute. Let me go get you some toilet paper. So he goes in the bathroom, and he comes back with this wad of toilet paper, and he hands it to me, and he looks me right in the eyes, and he said, the Lord told me to tell you something. I looked up at him like a little brat, and I go, really? What did he tell you to tell me? He said, he told me to tell you that he's planted a seed in your life, and you keep digging it up to see if it's growing. You need to leave the seed alone, and if you do, and you put it in the water and in the light, and you take care of it and nurture it, there is no telling how good this story is going to end up.
Wow.
Well, that was 21 years ago. And so I'm here. I didn't have an it box then. I didn't do any